Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I have to react to a huge YouTuber going bearish sort of on Palantir, and I feel that I really need to react to this video and just get my thoughts out. So we're going to go through the video together, and I'm going to try to keep the commentary to as little as possible. But before we start, please make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button. And I just want to tell you something. So in the experience that I've had on the stock market, it seems like a company goes through stages. So in the first stage, when the company is still a startup, people come out with bearish articles like, this company is going to go bankrupt, it's never going to make any money, and that's what the FUD is, right? And then there comes a turning point when that company is undeniably a good company. So one example is Tesla, for example, in 2019. So before 2019, all the bear cases were like, Tesla is structurally unprofitable, it's never going to make money. Elon Musk has never had a profitable company and they're never going to make it. And then after 2019, this bear case completely died in everyone's world except for Jim Chanos, who killed his own fund betting against Tesla. Anyways, besides the point. And then after the companies really make it and this bear case becomes completely undeniable, then there comes the new thing, which is the product that they're using is losing demand or is unpopular or competition is coming. So again, case in point is Tesla. How long have you heard competition is coming? The demand is lessening for their products, and that is just the new FUD. And I don't know what creates it, whether it's human psychology or it's paid people, or I don't know what it is. You have Apple, same thing. Every year the iPhone comes out, the news is that that this iPhone is not selling, Apple is reducing orders from China, and the suppliers are complaining that the iPhones are not flying off the shelves, and then almost every year this turns out to be fake news. So I feel that with Palantir, we have started to hit this point. So there's zero bear case left that Palantir is an unprofitable, never going to make money, they're going to go bankrupt company. So what's the next thing now is competition is coming and their product is not popular. Now, ticker symbol U, I really, really respect him. And I think that this is a very balanced video, despite the very, I'm not going to say clickbait, view enticing title. So it's a very, very balanced video, but still I feel we need to talk about what's in the video. So let's get going. If the video would ever start, what's going on?
As 2024, even if they technically still have the best AI platform. Palantir has a huge problem. Thanks to artificial intelligence, new innovations are coming out faster than ever before, which means that Palantir's cutting-edge AI today could become a commodity by tomorrow. So in this episode, I'll show you why Palantir could be doomed as early as 2024, even if they technically still have the best AI platforms. Your time is valuable, so let's get right into it. Let me start by saying that this isn't a video about Palantir somehow being bad, and I'm not rooting for them to fail. I actually got to use Foundry for myself, and I was blown away by everything I saw it do. During that time, I had weekly meetings with Palantir staff members where we planned out a project, connected my Foundry instance to a few interesting data sources, built a small ontology, and then put together a few pipelines and dashboards to analyze changes in my data over time. And beyond that, Palantir's employees were smart, patient, and treated me like a real customer, even though my project was obviously tiny in comparison to everything else they do. As I learned more about Foundry, it became obvious that I was just scratching the surface of its full capabilities, so I eventually stopped worrying about my project altogether, and started testing every tool, reading every document, and asking every question I could think of before giving up my Foundry access about a year ago. So the first thing I want to say is a big thank you to everyone at Palantir who I had the privilege of working with last year, and a huge thank you to CodeStrap for connecting us in the first place. What an absolute legend. The next thing I'm sure you want to know is why I haven't really covered Palantir since I got access to Foundry. After all, that was the whole point of me using it. Long story short, Foundry costs money, which means that Palantir was technically compensating me by giving me access. I also had to sign non-disclosure agreements because my instance of Foundry and my meetings both included features that were still being worked on, so that really limited what I could record. Not to mention that showing anything in a YouTube video would mean me technically making money with Foundry, which brought up even more issues. In the end, I got some pretty clear guidance on what I couldn't say, show, or do with my Foundry access, according to the FTC and SEC regulations. That guidance is what kept me quiet about Palantir this whole time. Now that it's been a full year since I gave up my Foundry access and got offboarded from Palantir, I can talk about everything that's changed, and boy, has the world changed. New industries, new competitors, and of course, a new era of AI. And Palantir has changed a bit as well. New partnerships, new platforms, and new quarterly reports. So let's talk about all of these changes and what they could mean for Palantir in 2024. First things first, it's never been a more important time to understand the science behind this stock.
You tell me, who is your daddy and what does he do?
If you've seen my previous Palantir videos, you have a huge leg up over other investors because you understand what this company does. And if you understand that, you know who actually competes with them. And they do have some serious competition, which I'll talk about in a little bit. If you don't know what Palantir does, here's the 60-second speedrun. Palantir's Gotham and Foundry platforms enable data science across an entire enterprise by giving everyone from executives and engineers to sales teams and human resources a consistent, real-time view of their data. They do that by helping companies create digital twins, which are also called ontologies. At a high level, ontologies are networks of things and their relationships, and the bigger the enterprise, the harder it usually is to get this step right. For example, the US Army is a huge interconnected network of personnel, assets, locations, and objectives. Amazon is a network of warehouses, vendors, products, and customers. Facebook is a network of people, organizations, and places that are connected by their relationships. Palantir's platforms help large enterprises build, maintain, and use these ontologies to track and analyze their resources and optimize their operations as things change, often in real time. One big thing that separates Palantir's platforms from their competition is their ability to maintain extremely high levels of accuracy over many different kinds of data processing while complying with many different levels of access, permissions, and classifications. While that may not sound particularly exciting, juggling accuracy, speed, and security is one of the toughest challenges for AI-based tools today, and it's especially important for the high-risk environments that Palantir's customers often find themselves operating in, whether they're a branch of the US military, a big hospital complex, an international bank, or an airline. Both Gotham and Foundry can also connect directly to an asset and let users send commands directly from Palantir software, like rotating a wind turbine, rerouting a vehicle, or even tasking a military unit. That's actually an insane level of access and control to give to any third-party software, which shows just how much some of the biggest governments, militaries, and companies on the planet trust Palantir's platforms with their most sensitive data. And speaking of sensitive data, I recently found out that dozens of online data brokers are selling my personal data. If you're getting more...
Okay, so that's commercial. We're going to cut that. But as you see, very, very balanced video so far. So he has used Foundry. He was blown away by the product. And he's going to bring up some very, very valid points. Let's continue with the video.
So the biggest enterprises on the planet trust Palantir's platform with their most sensitive data. And last year, Forrester Research ranked Palantir as the leading artificial intelligence and machine learning platform, beating out tech giants like Microsoft and Google, as well as more direct competitors like Databricks and C3 AI. And that's not even including AIP, Palantir's artificial intelligence platform, which has become their most demanded product. In a nutshell, companies can choose a large language model like OpenAI's GPT-4 or Anthropic's Claude 2, and AIP will supercharge it by letting it access different Palantir functions and algorithms, training it on the right parts of an ontology, automatically enforcing data and user permissions with the right guardrails, augmenting prompts to limit the model's hallucinations, and even teaching it to take pre-approved actions based on who's using it. AIP is seriously impressive, especially in a world where Google is still going viral for showing off how their AI models can recognize a duck.
I was just talking about a blue duck, and now you're holding one. It looks like blue ducks are more common than I thought.
Good job, Gemini. What's that? The conversation was faked and it didn't happen in real time? Huh. No wonder Alex Karp keeps making fun of Silicon Valley all the time.
if you're sitting on your perch in Silicon Valley and you're only creating value for yourself, monetizing your fellow Americans and others in the form of monetizing their data and providing no value to them, except for disrupting the businesses that people work at, you're going to find that your level of trust, it goes really down really far quickly. And I don't think this is something you can kind of IQ your way out of, which is, I think, essentially one of the problems in Silicon Valley. They just think that they're so smart that they can smart their way out of this. But it's just so obvious.
Look, no one is debating that Palantir makes some of the best AI-powered software platforms in the world. But being the best is not how companies dominate a market, which is a big problem for Palantir because that seems to be their entire market strategy.
During that earnings call, you said, we have no pricing strategy. We're going to create a lot of value, we're going to get hundreds of customers, and we will price it as we go. Have you made any progress on pricing strategy since that point?
No. But why? Okay,
why so relaxed about it?
Because it's like one of these things. Like when you go to a bar, you know everyone wants to meet you. Do you have a pricing strategy when you go to the bar? No. You're like, oh, I'm cool. I know we have the best product on the market. I know customers will pay us fairly. I know that it's much more valuable than anyone will understand until they install it. And we will sort out. We are going to create a lot of value, and we're going to get some portion of that value. And customers are smart. They'll pay you some portion of the value. Why should just as an axiomatic thing, if you have a software product, you always want to get paid after you deliver value. If you've got a PowerPoint, something that doesn't work, something that's not valuable, you want to get paid before you create value. We know it's valuable. We know it's much more valuable than people understand. We know we're going to continue to augment that value, and we're going to get paid along the way.
The thing is, superior products almost always end up losing to inferior products with better branding and distribution, better pricing, lower switching costs, or are just plain easier to use. That's because it's not the technology inside the product that matters. It's the product market fit. And if you don't believe me, maybe you'll believe Steve Jobs.
You've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards to the technology. You can't start with the technology and try to figure out where you're going to try to sell it. And I've made this mistake probably more than anybody else in this room. And I've got the scar tissue to prove it. And I know that it's the case. And as we have tried to come up with a strategy and a vision for Apple, it started with what incredible benefits can we give to the customer? Where can we take the customer? Not starting with, let's sit down with the engineers and figure out what awesome technology we have, and then how are we going to market that?
I know we have the best product on the market. I know customers will pay us fairly. I know that it's much more valuable than anyone will understand until they install it.
If Alex Karp wasn't so wrapped up in the technology and instead focused on the needs of the companies in the commercial markets that he wants to capture, which have changed drastically over the last year, he would see that Palantir does have some real competition from products like Microsoft.
So this is a bit not said correctly. So the video was super balanced up to this point. And here I feel that I start to disagree with ticker symbol U. So one of them is that Palantir is the only thick product that is in this category in the market. So what that means is that Palantir has to come to your company and actually do what Steve Jobs says. They don't sit with their engineers. They go to the company and ask, what problem do you have? And how can we help you handle it? And then they basically tailor make the whole product to that company. And I understand that a lot of people don't think that this is a good strategy, and somehow Palantir should have breakaway products that become thin products, just like Microsoft Fabric. And the thing is, where I disagree, because let me put it this way, there's a lot of people who think that Palantir should change their go-to-market strategy, and Alex Karp is very bad at sales and marketing, and maybe it has to do with the fact that Alex Karp always says that he's really bad at marketing, but I don't believe that. Some of the world's best salespeople, where did I read this? There was a book that I read that basically said that, I think it was something that Elon Musk said, that no, it was written about Elon Musk, that the world's best sales interview is when you don't know that you're being sold to. So the world's best salespeople are the people who are not trying to sell you, or you think that they're not trying to sell you. So when Alex Karp says, I'm a very bad salesperson, we're not trying to sell, this is all sales. Let me tell you that, number one. So I believe number two is that there is no other product that I know of that basically transforms your company and is a very thick, end-to-end product, 100% tailor-made to your company. So what this means is, yes, you limit the amount of customers that you have, you limit your scale and expansion, but you're also getting the biggest and the best customers and the highest quality contracts. And the thing is, I will raise that point in a bit. But so here this is where we disagree. So I believe that the team is doing exactly what Steve Jobs says. They sit down with the customer and they say, how can we help you? Where can we take you? As opposed to Microsoft, who says, let's make a standardized product that is the same for every company and we can compete with Palantir. I don't think it's real competition.
Fabric, which can aggregate data, extract, organize, and transform it, store it in a unified data lake right on Azure. Administrators can manage permissions for that data, and users can build dashboards to analyze it in real time. Companies can even build custom solutions on top of Fabric or embed different parts of Fabric in their existing applications. Fabric isn't a concept. Microsoft announced Fabric's general availability just last month. Or how about Amazon Q, which is Amazon Web Services' new generative AI assistant. Companies can connect Q to all of their organizational data, including third-party integrations like Salesforce, Microsoft, and Google. Q uses that data to answer questions, generate insights, and take action on behalf of the user, whether that means building and testing new applications, answering specific questions about a customer or service, or helping decision makers visualize and analyze important data. And of course, Q understands existing user roles and permissions and limits its functionality accordingly. Nobody is saying that Microsoft Fabric or Amazon Q are better than Palantir Foundry. The reason that investors should worry about them anyway is because they help Palantir's target customers do more without Foundry in the first place, especially if they're already using other products and services from AWS or Azure. Oh, and by the way, over 50% of all commercial businesses that would consider Palantir Foundry already use at least one service from AWS or Azure today. Here's one more quick clip that I think really highlights everything wrong with Palantir's current market strategy.
You talked about the competitive landscape. I actually wanted to ask you about C3 AI as an example, because you come up in bidding processes with them.
Actually, look, this is a massive market. We actually don't come up with bidding processes with anyone. And I'll tell you what I think about everyone.
So you don't have any competition?
Let me just tell you about this competition thing that Wall Street analysts love. It's complete BS. This is an infinite market, basically. Try what we're doing and try what everyone else is doing, and buy the thing that creates the most value.
On an infinite market, Bloomberg Intelligence put out this research report this morning that says generative AI as a market will be 1.3 trillion in 2032. That requires compound annual growth of about 40% a year from this point over a decade. Do you see that as realistic?
Well, what I see, I don't know.
Based on the markets you operate in.
Look, these experts just make stuff up. But what we know is this is a large, basically impossible to measure market. And what we also know is everybody in the U.S. is going to find ways to become more efficient and better using software, and a lot of that software is going to be AI-driven. We also know that the market, over time, not in a quarter, will end up picking the best products. That's what we know.
All right, I won't rehash the whole competition thing, but let me ask you a few different questions. Whether you believe Bloomberg's estimates that the AI market will grow by over 40% per year for the next decade, or Alex Karp when he says it's an infinite market already, then why did Palantir's most recent earnings call only show 17% revenue growth year over year? And how come their net dollar retention rate is just 107%? Net dollar retention measures how much money recurring customers spend with a company year over year. So
again, here we disagree again, because these numbers don't yet reflect their change in go-to-market strategy with AIP. So we have just had a software recession, and every SaaS company that you can look at has had decreased growth in their business, and Palantir is no different. And actually, Snowflake, for example, is still decreasing, whereas Palantir started re-accelerating their software growth because they changed their go-to-market strategy, and it was so successful that Snowflake actually started copying their go-to-market strategy. And again, I think that this video still comes from a non-understanding of what Palantir is really going after, because Palantir is not trying to be a mass market product that is the same for every company. And let's look at what Alex Karp said. It's an infinite market. Why did he say that? It's because pretty much every business needs to use software to become more effective. And a lot of that software is going to be AI driven in the future, in some quarters from now. And is there a world where 100% of that is Palantir? No, it's never going to happen. Okay? So, and who is Palantir going after? So all the other companies, the Snowflake, the C3 AI, Microsoft, Amazon, they're going after the same companies with a very thin product that is, a standardized, the same for every company. And then you have only one company over here that is going after the biggest of the biggest clients, and where they make 100% tailor-made applications to really boom their businesses. Is that for everyone? Definitely not. But they're definitely in an area where they are, doing their own race, and they're not really competing with anyone. So it's very true what Alex Karp said. And another thing that I want to say is, Alex Hormozy said something that stuck with me for a very long time. So he said, if you want to be part of the 1%, you have to think like the 1%. And that means that 99% of the people will disagree with you. And I feel that Alex Karp is, how many guys or people do you know that have taken a company from zero to, a multi-billion, I don't think they're not a mega cap, but a large cap company on the stock market. There is a handful of those guys, okay, maybe max a couple of thousand on the whole planet, okay, out of 7 billion people. So that means that when and remember, he has done it. He's not someone who says he's going to do it. He actually took Palantir from 0 to 50, 60 billion in market cap, or wherever we are, okay? And you have to think a bit differently with these people. So when they say that something is effective or is doing something and you disagree with it, you have to think like, okay, is there something that you are not seeing? Because these guys are the top 0.000 whatever 1%, and it means that they think different from how the average people think, okay? So there's a lot of ideas that these people will have that you will vehemently disagree with, but it will turn out that they are correct, because they are geniuses, or I don't know what they are, but they get companies from 0 to multiple billions of dollars on the stock market. And unfortunately, I don't have this ability, right? So we will disagree on some things. And the point is that Palantir, since the inception, if you study Palantir's history, they have always not had a pricing strategy. They have always gone to companies, basically given away their products for free so that the customer can see the value, and then they charged a very premium price for the product. And this is how they got BP, their first super big commercial customer. This is how they got the NHS. They gave away Palantir for £1. And then in 2023, they got awarded a contract, and they started this work in 2020. So not only did they give it away for free, they had to freaking wait 3 years to get the contract, and these guys could do it. And none of the other guys are jumping around. Amazon is not jumping around going after this contract. Microsoft is not jumping around going after this contract. They're going, to the easy, very thin product that the customers can use, and frankly, don't give so much value. And in these numbers that he's showing, again, it's very unfair, because he's basically showing how the numbers were at the bottom, and we're coming out of this because Palantir has changed their go-to-market strategy.
Recurring customers spent just 7% more with them this year than last year. If it's lower because of headwinds in Europe, like their earnings report suggests, then why not show the US numbers or the government versus commercial numbers like they already do everywhere else? And if they really have no competition in the commercial sector, then how come more than half of their revenue still comes from government customers? Hopefully you're starting to see the disconnect between their rhetoric and reality here. I know this video is a little long, but I want to be thorough since these are the things stopping Palantir from growing faster, and I haven't really been able to talk about them since I got access to Foundry. So if you feel I've earned it, consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. That really helps me out, and it lets me know to put out more commentary like this. Thanks, and with that out of the way, there's really only one question left to answer. Is Palantir actually doomed in 2024? No, of course not, but not being doomed isn't the same thing as reaching your full potential. And if there's one thing that every Palantir shareholder agrees on, it's that this company has the potential to be massive. And since I don't like complaining without offering solutions, here's something I think Palantir could do to realize more of that potential. I would build a huge fictional dataset that they can use for product demos, user training, and marketing. I'm talking like recreating the entire empire from Star Wars, complete with chains of command, lists of ship, troop, and droid movements and communications across different cities and planets, dynamic logistics and supply routes, mission objectives, and priority targets for those pesky Jedi and good-for-nothing rebels. Then Palantir can show off examples of how to set up new data sources, build out the Empire's entire ontology, and then interact with it through AIP and other analysis tools. Then I would use this giant data set to build an entire marketing campaign that shows off all of Palantir's best tools and algorithms in detail, and show how they all fit together using examples that most people in their target audience can actually understand, not just developers and computer scientists. After that, I would start taking the most popular tools and algorithms from each platform and turning them into standalone services that can be sold separately, and build a pricing strategy around them to capture more small and medium-sized businesses. It doesn't have to be every single feature, but I can already think of a few that make sense from my time with Foundry. This same dataset can also be used for user training and certification, and even directly comparing Foundry to other products. Then everyone would clearly see why Alex Karp says Palantir doesn't have any competition, because everyone would understand the science behind this stock. And until that happens, Palantir is doomed to never reach its true potential. Thanks for watching, and until next.
So very, very balanced video. Again, the end conclusion where I disagree with him is any interview that you watch with Alex Karp, he's saying that we don't have personnel to handle the incoming traffic. And why would you want to, what I'm trying to say is, for example, if we take Tesla as an example, and Cybertruck is a very good example. So if your capacity is 100,000 Cybertrucks this year, and you have 2 million Cybertrucks sold, what's the point of advertising to, get more non-EV users to try to make a deposit on Cybertruck when there's no way for you to even produce the car? So I agree, because I have studied a Palantir for a very, very long time, and it's very hard to understand, and I'm not even close to understanding technically what they are doing, right? And I do believe that there will be a time when they do need to make that more clear. But is now the right time, when they're basically complaining about not having enough personnel and they cannot service the demand that they already have? I would argue that it's not. So I think this is a very balanced video. I really like to have, different viewpoints about the stock. And I think that the new FUD about Palantir is going to be the competition is coming, and, that there is other products that are more popular or more easier or have better distribution than Palantir. But I think that those people who make this argument don't fully understand what Palantir is going after. And it's not something that I'm worried about. But I love to see this video. I really respect ticker symbol U. And let me know in the comments what you think. Are you worried about this, or do you think competition is coming? And if you want to support the channel, you can check out the Patreon link in the description box below, where I'm going to do a bunch of stuff in the future. So right now, if you go there, you're just purely supporting the channel. But in the future, I'm going to upload my portfolio, the different stock theses, and you will be able to download my valuation tables and make your own assumptions and change around things. So it's going to be pretty cool, but right now there's nothing there. So if you go there and still support the channel, you're awesome. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.